Good morning, everyone. Sorry for popping on a little bit later than usual. Had some tech difficulties this morning. It erased my entire post. But I am here now, and we are going to be designing with the Hues of Happiness collection. Well, actually, not the whole collection, not the designer series paper. Today I'm going to sub in the Sale-a-Bration designer series paper that's got silver and gold stripes and dots on it. And so we're going to use that today instead of the Hues of Happiness designer series paper. But the rest of the collection we are going to be using. So we've got our Happiness Abounds stamp set, the Happiness or Blossoming Happiness dies, and the glossy dots assortments are what we're going to be using today for our creations. So as you pop on, make sure that you say hi. I love to know who's here and crafting with me. And today's card is one that if you have some of these items, you can definitely craft along. We're not using any kind of crazy materials. So let's switch over so that you just see my desktop. Here we go. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to grab the flower from this set, and we are going to stamp it in Versamark ink and then emboss it with silver embossing powder. So I've got just a piece of basic white cardstock here, and I'm going to grab my Versamark ink and the large flower from this stamp set. This flower is, I think, my favorite one in the stamp set. It's just the perfect size. So we're going to ink that up and stamp that with Versamark. And then we're going to bring in some silver embossing powder. Now, before I do that, I'm just going to bring in a scrap piece of paper as well. And now let's see, I was using it this morning. There we go. My silver embossing powder. And so we're just going to sprinkle that over top and then tap off the extras. Oh, now I'm looking at this and realizing that I forgot to use my Stampin' Emboss Buddy. So it's a great new tool in our mini catalog, and you run it over top of your paper before you stamp, and it takes off all the excess oils and stuff that might be on your paper so that your embossing powder only sticks to your ink. Now, I forgot to do that, so I'm going to have to get a small paintbrush. Even when we have the right tools, sometimes we forget to use them. So I'm just going to bring in a small paintbrush and brush away some of the embossing powder that I didn't want to be here. Now, I've also brushed away some that I did. This is why the Embossing Buddy is better, because then you don't have to do this finicky kind of work. It just makes sure that nothing sticks where you don't want it. All right. There we go. Just a few more to pick up. Oh, and one over there. So it's not the end of the world. Oh, good morning. It just says Facebook user. If you want to sign in with StreamYard, you only have to do it once, and then I'll always know who it is that's saying hi. So I've got that all embossed now, and we're going to heat it up with our heat tool. Okay, so we're done. Now, when you're heating silver embossing powder, you really want to watch it and move the heat along as soon as it becomes shiny, because if you overheat silver embossing powder, it actually gets very dark and will almost look black instead of shiny. So you can see there, I've got the right angle, I think, so you guys can see that this one's actually still quite shiny. And that's what we want. All right, so with that done, we are going to die cut that flower. And so I'm going to grab my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And my plates. Now I use plate 3 and 2 plate 2s when I do this. So I'm going to pop that on, and I did have my dies. All right, so now there's a little trick to lining these up quickly. On the die, there's one kind of dip in that's significantly deeper than the others. I line up that with the deep dip on the flower, and then it lies down perfectly for me. All right, so we've got that there, and while we're in here, I am going to also grab a banner from our Stylish Shape dies, and I'm going to put that across my scrap paper here as well and cut one of those out at the same time. All right, so here we go. Oh, no, I should have angled that. There we go, not too bad. All right, now I'm not going to put my machine away just yet because I'm going to do one more die cut while we have it out. So I'm just going to remove these. And actually I can still use a good chunk of that. There we go. So I'm going to remove these, and I'm going to grab a piece of vellum. This is just a 3x3 square of vellum. And I'm going to use the second largest circle from our Stylish Shape dies, and I'm going to die cut a circle out of vellum as well. So just kind of putting together all of our bits first before we grab a card base and start putting together a card. There we go. So, oops. So that is it. I just used my mini to cut out a bunch of stuff. Now, if you do not have a Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, or you don't have a mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine yet, now is a great time to grab it, because for every $60 you spend right now with Stampin' Up, you actually earn Sale-a-Bration items. And that's the next piece here that I'm going to show you. I'm just going to move these dies out of the way so I don't lose them. There we go. So we have our silver and gold striped and dotted designer series paper, and this is an item you can earn for free during Sale-a-Bration. We actually have a full little brochure here of all the different items that you can earn for free, including like the hippos and the dies. So again, you'd want that die cut machine for those. Some designer series paper, stamp sets, the gorgeous silver and gold 6x6 paper that I'm using, some more dies, like lots and lots of options here during Sale-a-Bration. So I took one of those 6x6 pieces and I cut it in half at 3 inches, and then I trimmed it again at 4.5. And I've got some blends here. We're actually going to color our paper today with blends. Last week I used some blending brushes over top of it. This week I'm going to show you how easy it is to use the blends. So I'm starting with Dark Orchid Oasis, and I'm going to color about 1/3 of this in Dark Orchid Oasis. Now I'm just kind of doing long stripes across, and that's it. Then I'm going to grab my Light Orchid Oasis, and I'm going to start just below halfway, and again, just light stripes and into my dark. So that's going to allow my dark and my light to blend together. There we go. Then I'm going to take Dark Tahitian Tide and come down about leaving 1/4 knot done. And I'm going to go across, and I'm going to blend into about to the halfway point, maybe a bit higher, blend into the Orchid Oasis that I already had there. And then finally, I'm going to grab my Light Tahitian Tide and color the rest of this. So just kind of doing big swoops across and a little bit more into where the dark is. All right. So there you have it. We have this beautiful piece of designer series paper now, all colored with those blends, and the colors are like starting to mix together and everything. Might actually just go over this Light Tahitian Tide a little bit more. It's a little too light for me. Okay. And then do our dark one a little bit more as well. And up into the old Orchid Oasis. There we go. All right, so you just kind of keep going until you've got the blend that you want. Oh, hi, Kim from Kansas. Awesome. So that's kind of how we're going to color it. You could do this with any colors and blend them in. Now that we have that colored, I'm going to move my blends out of the way. And I'm actually going to cut this piece of paper up. So I very specifically made it 3 inches wide, because then I can go ahead and cut this into 4 3/4 inch pieces. So there's one, and I'm just using the small side of my trimmer to measure out that 3/4. There we go, and the last one will leave me with 2 3/4 inch pieces. There we go. So I've got these gorgeous strips of blended paper now. And I am going to grab a thick basic white cardstock piece. This is just 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And with this piece, we're going to kind of just decide, we could put them all one direction, or we can flip them around so that we get kind of a different shade on each of the pieces. And we're going to just glue these down. So now this is one of my favorite card designs. This was actually one that Sarah from Stampin' Up actually demoed like early on in the pandemic, of taking any designer series paper and cutting it into 4 little strips and putting it onto your card background. And you can overlap them or make them straight, or, you know, however you want to do them. So for this card, I'm going to actually try my best to line these up as straight as possible. So I'm going to use some liquid glue here. And I'm just going to put a layer of liquid glue on the back. Now, if you're not a liquid glue fan, Seal works really well for this. Now, these are going to, because they're 3/4 of an inch, they're going to actually space really nicely onto this card. And I can almost do it like I don't even really need to like measure anything to get these lined up properly. Now, what I do like to do though, is I put down my first one, and then I actually grab a ruler. I make sure my card is lined up on my grid paper, and then I line up my ruler straight on my grid paper. And I'm not caring so much about the side to side spacing of all of this, but what I'm caring about is the other side. I'm going to place my 2 outside pieces first, and then place my inside piece. So I've got that. I know that that's going to be lined up nicely, that that's the right height. And then I'm going to put this one down over here. So now these last 2, I can just kind of put in, oh, now look at that. I went and spaced them a little bit further apart than I wanted to. Darn it. Okay. Not as easy as I thought it was going to be. That's okay. I put this one in, I didn't put it far enough over. That's okay. You know what? We will make this work. We're going to create just one more quick strip. So I actually had one already done that I was playing around with. So we're just going to grab that one and trim it down to the right height, which I had said was 4 1/2. And where's my cutting blade? There we go. All right, so we're going to pop that one in, and we're going to make these a little bit overlappy. There we go, just like that. So my 2 outside ones are placed, and now we're going to glue these ones down. And so we're not going to make them straight. Little modification to today's card. So that one's going to go down, and I am going to flip it around though so that the 2 patterns are on opposite ends. There we go, just like that. And go. I'm going to do that one like that. And then our last one's kind of going to go in straight. There we go. So a little bit more glue. All right. So if you only have the 4 pieces because you want to conserve your paper and just use that 3-inch strip, just put these edges in a little bit closer. Okay, so there we go. I've got my background all created now. And with that background done, I am now going to add some pieces to the front of this. So we have that vellum circle that we die cut. We're going to add that onto here. We have our flower that we embossed in silver, and then we have a little sentiment strip that we're going to add to our card front. So I'm going to use my Orchid Oasis ink and stamp the word Happy Birthday on here. There we go. So it doesn't quite fit on the die that I created. It's just a little bit long, but it's just the ends that trail on either side that are too long. So I've just centered it so that all the words are on our piece, and then they kind of go off the 2 ends right in the crease of our banner. All right, so that's our Orchid Oasis. And now we're going to attach all of these bits just like that to our card front. So first thing I'm going to do is take my flower and put some dimensionals on the back of it. So I'm actually just using up some extra dimensionals here that I have left over from my paper pumpkin kit, actually. And so I just like to trim up the edging of these dimensionals and use every last scrap. So we're going to add this flower to our vellum circle. And let's see, I want it sitting about like that, and then I want my happy birthday about like that. And so my flower should sit up in the top like that. There we go. So with my flower on here, I'm now going to add my happy birthday. So I'm going to put some dimensionals on here, but I'm going to make sure that this first one is over a bit, so it's not going to be on top of my flower. And then my other one's going to go over at the far end. And then over here, just use a little dab of glue or a little dab of seal or a mini glue dot, whatever it is you'd like. And we'll use that. There we go, just like that. We use that to attach it to our card. So, actually, you know what? I can probably sneak another dimensional in there. It's not as far over as I thought. I'll just sneak a little mini one on the bottom. All right. So for now, I'm only peeling off that first one because it's the only one that's going to actually be on my circle. And I'm trying to just kind of line everything up. Then I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to use some Seal Plus just on the vellum where my flower and my sentiment are covering up the vellum. I don't want any of this adhesive to show through. All right, so with that all kind of created together, I'm going to pop that on there. And now I can peel the backing off of these other 2 dimensionals and really put that down on my card front. And there we go. All right, so we're almost done. Oops, that's a little bit crooked. Let's move that a little bit. There we go. All right, we are almost done. We're just going to add a little dash of color here with some embellishments. I'm just going to move that to the side and grab my Glossy Dots Assortments and my Take Your Pick tool. I'm going to use that to grab one of the, I think is it Coastal Cabana, or are these actually Tahitian Tide? I always forget the colors in here, but 4 beautiful colors in here. We're going to grab one of those light blue ones for the center of our flower. And then I think that this just needs a little bit of some more sparkle to it. So we are going to grab our elegant trim. And so you get 2 rolls here. You get a silver and a gold. I'm going to grab my silver one. It's all fallen apart. I'm going to tie a nice big bow. Oops, there we go. So a nice big floppy bow here, and snip that off. And then I'm actually going to scooch this under my sentiment. Actually, this is on vellum, so it'll actually peel up nicely. So I can put that underneath and then put that back down. There we go. And you could use a mini glue dot to hold that in place if you wanted, but actually the sentiment label is going to hold that in place just fine. Try and get all my elegant trim back into my jar. There we go. And we're going to add 2 more embellishments onto here. We're going to add 2 more of these glossy dots. And we're just going to pop them down here. Oh, come on. Come on, come on. Now I think I'm going to actually trim up. Oops. I grabbed a yellow one with my hand. That's not good. All right, I'm just going to trim up the ends of this one because I don't like how long that one's curling. There we go. And that is our finished card. So really, oh, Wink of Stella would look nice on the flower. Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to leave it for today because I actually don't know where my Wink of Stella is. I've been looking for it for a few days. But there we go. We have our finished card. So just some nice little sparkly elements in there. I love how the silver just kind of pops on that paper when you color it. And a quick birthday card. So like I said, you can do this in any color, and we've actually got a nice variety here. You know, do it in some purples, some pinks, that kind of thing. And then having the white flower on there with the silver embossing just makes the flower and the sentiment pop. So I hope you guys liked that one. Now this Hues of Happiness, the glossy dots and the designer series paper that I didn't use today, but it's gorgeous rainbow color designer series paper, are 2 of the elements plus this bundle that I'm using in an upcoming stamp camp this weekend. And I actually have 1 extra set of make and takes prepped and an extra pack of the paper. And here, I'll just grab it and show you. So an extra pack of the paper and the glossy dots, and then an extra make and take pack cut. So if you have this set or something similar to it and are local and would like to get in on that class last minute, it's $55. We're going to be making 12 cards, and it's an all-day event on Saturday, but it is recorded if you can't like make it live. But it's an all-day event online, so give me a shout out if you'd like to pop in on that one last minute. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining me. I'm glad you like that coloring technique. I actually saw another demo doing it on like a Instagram reel or something, and I thought, oh, that's such a great way to color that paper. So glad that you could see that, Betty, and learn the new technique that I learned as well. So you guys have a great day. I hope it's sunny and warm wherever you are and you can get out and enjoy that. And I will see you actually live tomorrow. I got the Nourish and Flourish kit, and so I'm going to go live tomorrow morning and show you guys that whole kit. It's actually way more beautiful than it even looked in the catalog, and it's a great kit because part of the proceeds go towards charity. So hopefully you can join me tomorrow morning for that. Bye, everyone.